Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Brian.
We skipped last month. I missed you.
I missed you too.
Well, we're here now.
Welcome to the Spellman Spotlight for February 2025.
It has been a long time coming for the update of the museum's children's room, which was completed in January. Updates include a new activity table and furniture donated by Aptima Engineering in Woburn, and wall decor featuring iconic stamps, including the new Henry Aaron Forever stamp. Space for children's fiction and nonfiction books, coloring books, mail-oriented toys, and craft projects has also been allocated. Plans are in the works to use one of the museum's large-screen smart TV in the children's room for video presentations. For more information about this space, our youth stamp club, and other educational efforts, contact our museum educator, Shaban Mahaney, at the email address below. Love is in the air all month in our main gallery with the return of the museum's Love Stamp exhibition. This multi-frame display brings together numerous stamps issued by the U.S. Postal Service which celebrate love and togetherness in all its forms. The first entry in what would become known as the Love Series was Robert Indiana's 8-cent A Special Stamp for Someone Special in 1973. The latest edition came out on January 17th of this year. A full sheet of this new Forever stamp has been added to the display. New exhibits in our Gems from the Vault gallery include extensively researched displays of stamps and postal history from the German inflationary period after World War I and an examination of U.S. perfins. These were developed by longtime museum volunteers, Jeffrey Shapiro and Stephen Tauber, respectively. In addition to collecting great stamps, covers, letters, and postmarks, the Spellman Museum is also seeking three-dimensional artifacts to better tell our stories. While we consistently receive 3 to 5 donations of stamps and other flat media each week, 3D materials are harder to come by. 2 impactful items, an 1889 Doremus mailbox and a mid-20th century U.S. City mail satchel, have come in since late 2023, and we are looking for more. If you think you have an item which might be a good addition to the museum's artifact collection, please contact me at bhoward@spellmanmuseum.org.
I'm Heidi Price with the Artifact of the Month. Postage stamps are beautiful objects. The United States Postal Service has printed billions of postage stamps since it issues its first stamp in 1847. In 2023 alone, the USPS printed 13.68 billion stamps. Now, we know these objects are of great interest and curiosity to so many, hence why we have a stamp museum thriving after more than 60 years since its inception. As the decades continue, artwork and imagery on postage stamps has evolved to reflect popular culture, world events, important individuals, milestones, and simply beautiful landscapes and nature imagery. Now, for some, the beauty of these small adhesive shapes inspires even more. There is a segment of stamp lovers and artists who use postage stamps to create art or crafts. This is stamp art. Just like a mosaic or a quilt, the sum of the parts creates a total. It's easy to see why people are so inspired by the postage stamp. At the Spellman, in addition to receiving donations of collections of all kinds, we are often gifted stamp artwork. Our mission is to inspire and educate, and often a visitor of any age will be drawn to stamp art and choose to learn more about philately and the art of individual postage stamps. Stamps inspire people to make art, and that art inspires people to learn more about stamps. I'll share just one of the many examples of stamp art called the Evergreen. This artist handcrafted this single tree visual with used vintage King George V, King Edward VIII, King George VI, and Queen Elizabeth II postage stamps. What's really special is that the uniqueness of the postmarks and variety of the stamps chosen means no two visuals will ever be the same. Curious to try making stamp art? Often, people use canceled or used stamps for their artwork, which requires careful removal of a stamp from the envelope or the package. Here's how to remove the stamp. First, trim the paper around the stamp, leaving a very small border around it. Next, fill a bowl with lukewarm water and float the stamp in the water. After a few minutes, the stamp will float off the paper and back to the top of the water. Please note, postage stamps on very thick paper or cards can be difficult to remove, as they take so long for the water to soak through, as far as that gum adhesive. If possible, try to peel away some of that paper thickness before soaking your stamp. By now, it's clear at the Spellman we just love stamps. Old ones, new ones, domestic and international ones. Stop by soon and check out some of the stamp art that inspires so many.
Okay, well, we're doing something different for the interview segment for the February update. This is our first remote interview, and I am pleased to introduce the Spellman Museum's board president, Dr. Yamil Kouri. Dr. Kouri has a very good reputation within the philatelic community. Spent the better part of 30 years in Lexington, Massachusetts, and is now living in Sarasota, Florida, but continues to serve as the museum's board president and a champion of all things stamp and postal history oriented. Yamil, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, great. Just wanted to get some background on your involvement with the museum and how you initially got involved in stamp collecting and what drew you to the Spellman.
Well, I started collecting as a kid. I think I was 8 years old. I was born in Cuba, but we were exiled in Mexico. So the letters that I got from Cuba had interesting stamps. Some of them reminded me of the zoo in Havana that I used to go with my grandfather. Mm-hmm. Others had tropical fruits that I was very familiar with. So I started peeling off the stamps from the cover. Mm-hmm. Until somebody told me how to soak them off. Mm-hmm. And then I found out that my father was a stamp collector. So that was more of an inspiration and a factor. And I haven't stopped since. You know, there were a number of laws in the collecting period, during my education, etc. But ever since my late teens, early 20s, I've been very active with collecting. It's taken a little bit of a backseat due to the time that organizing or being one of the organizers of Boston 2026. But yes, I'm an eager collector. I can't help it. You know,
it's really you're hooked right in.
Yeah.
All right. And, you mentioned Boston 2026, and I know that you're deeply involved with the organization for that event. We've had Mark Butterline, the executive director of Boston 2026, on as one of our previous guests, and of course Mike Lawson, who is the museum's treasurer and also very involved. What is your role, and can you describe a little bit more for our audience what this show is all about?
Yes, I'm the president of the show, although I have to give credit to Mark and Mike. They do most of the work. I do a lot of speaking for the show and traveling and publicity, but they do the bulk of the dirty work. This show is a wonderful opportunity. It only takes place once in a decade in the United States. It's been going on without interruptions for 110 years, and this is the first time that it will take place in Boston, and it is the largest international show of the decade in the world. Most countries in the world will participate. It has the largest number of frames, dealers, societies, events. It is a festival of stamps like no other. Yeah. People from all over the world attend the show. Next year, even more so, because it commemorates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So It's an even bigger festivity.
So you've been involved with the Spellman for many years. You've been the board president for most of the last 10 now?
Yeah, something like that. Frankly, I haven't been keeping track of it. Mm-hmm. I've known of the Spellman since at least the 1980s. Then I moved to the Massachusetts area in 1992. Immediately, I was invited to give a talk at the Philatelic Group of Boston that met at the Spellman, and I've been coming ever since. About a decade ago, or more perhaps, maybe 12, 13 years, Nancy Clark, who was then the board president, invited me to become a board member. So I've been involved with the board long before I became the president. And we've seen a number of transformations for the better, I have to say. We are reinventing ourselves. It used to be mainly a repository of all sorts of stamps and postal artifacts and literature. Now it's the mission is shifting towards an educational institution, which is, I think, more appropriate. using stamps or emphasizing the importance of the postal system in the history of this country, the cultural factors, the historical, the social impact of stamps and postal history. And I think that the museum is doing a great job turning into an educational institution.
Well, it calls for having a good team and solid leadership and a vision for what the community is looking for in a museum. And it's been a pleasure to get involved and see just how impactful the Spellman has been, not only to the philatelic community, but to the local community and to the region as well. And I think that's a credit to the volunteers, the board leadership, of course. Everybody who's involved is focused on ensuring that the organization is relevant, impactful, and moving toward the future. So that's
and I have to
really
say,
great
it's also a
see.
credit to you as our new executive director. Really, you've rejuvenated the institution, which was badly needed.
Thank you. Well, it's I hope we'll have much more success as we move through 25 and into 2026 in the show in Boston. Just two more questions here. As far as the museum goes, just in general, what do you feel are perhaps the most impactful benefits that the museum can bring to its constituents, be that the philatelic community or to the region? Does any particular part stick out?
Yeah, for seasoned philatelists, it has an important library, which is a good resource. It also has a fantastic collection of reference material and donated exhibits. The Steinway music exhibit is one that comes to mind that has traveled to New York and is very popular. For the public in general, I think it serves to educate the public about the role of the postal system, the importance of stamps, written communications, and also to link many other historical events to stamps and postal history that serve to educate the public. I think that has a much broader appeal, and we'll get hopefully some collectors with that effort. If not, at the very least, we will be educating the community about the importance of the postal system.
All right. Well, Yamil, thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, just to mention that it's thanks to our members and volunteers to a great extent is that the museum can carry out its mission. So if anyone listening is not yet a member, we would love to have you. We invite you to participate in the events, visit, and you won't be disappointed. Thank you.
Excellent. Yamil, thank you so much for your time. We sincerely appreciate it and wish you the best in your continued leadership, not only for the museum, but also for a great show in Boston 2026. And I know the entire museum is looking forward to participating and supporting that activity.
Yes. Thank you, Brian, and thank you for your wonderful job as our executive director.
Thanks again.
That's it for our February Spotlight. Stay warm, and we'll see you next month.